Senator.
Thank you very much, Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. I have a number of cooperatives in my riding of Ottawa Centre, as well as the Co-op Housing Association of Eastern Ontario. Minister, I'm pleased to have fostered good relationship with these residents and organizations, and they have consistently brought to my attention the challenge that co-op housing providers have faced with dispute resolution. The way cooperative housing is currently managed, co-op tenants and co-op housing providers cannot resolve their disputes through the landlord and tenant board. Instead, to resolve such issues, they must go through the much more costly and time-consuming legal system. As I'm sure the Minister knows, these additional costs, sometimes as much as $5,000 per dispute, can be quite a lot for cooperative housing providers to take on, and adds to the already high demand on our courts. Through you, Mr. Speaker, could the Minister please tell us what action our government is taking to ensure a fairer system is in place for other non-profit housing providers and remedy the problem?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for his work with the co-op sector. Our government realizes the vital role that co-op housing providers play in providing affordable housing in the province, Mr. Speaker, and that's why I'm pleased to say that we've recently introduced the Non-Profit Housing Cooperative Statute Law Amendment Act 2012, and what this act will do, if it's passed, it'll allow co-ops to apply to the Landlord-Tenant Board to resolve certain disputes, things like persistent late payment of rent, illegal behaviour and willful damage. And it will streamline the process and create a more cost-effective process for co-ops in three ways. It'd save our co-op providers time and money. They'd bring Ontario in line with other jurisdictions in Canada, such as Manitoba and Quebec, and they would relieve our courts from hearing approximately 300 co-op eviction cases per year, allowing them to devote those resources to other higher demand needs.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. I know that co-op residents and stakeholders will be pleased to know that the government has heard their concerns and is taking action. Minister, as I mentioned in my question, the co-op sector has been active in highlighting this issue, and others to members like myself and to the government. I've always been pleased with the constructive approach and good ideas they have brought to the table. Speaker, would the Minister tell us how the government has engaged the cooperative housing sector in preparation for these proposals, and what are their reaction about our proposed legislation?
Thank you, Minister.
And actually, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing has conducted substantial consultations with our co-op housing stakeholders, the Cooperative Housing Federation, and it represents the vast majority of the 550 non-profit co-ops in Ontario, and works with the government to ensure that the interests of co-ops in Ontario are protected. Is completely supportive of the proposal. The Premier committed to them last year, actually, Mr. Speaker, to move quickly in our government's mandate to reform the current co-op eviction process, and that's what we're doing. I should also say that I'm happy to see the support that we've already received from the opposition parties on these proposed reforms, including a letter from the leader of the third party, who wrote a letter to the Cooperative Housing Federation in September showing support for changes to the legislation. So as the bill proceeds through the legislative process, Mr. Speaker, I remain hopeful that we'll have unanimous support for this change to the Co-op Federation.